not held on? Sorry.
The
threads.
The threads on this cutie mark here. And it's on the wings too. You see it less, although you probably see the threads here. But on the cutie mark, these threads are they're just loops. You should not have 3D embroidery like that. If you have 3D embroidery where you can see loops in your thread, don't. Or if you can see it in the pictures, just don't. The eye on this one had the same issues as the Fluttershy here with, on this eye, it had the threads literally just kind of popping off and pulling out. The wings were held in by some thread, but not really. Like all the threads are broken. There was multiple seams on the body that were ripped. And the wings, again, also had the same issues with the embroidery coming off.
And what's kind of funny about this plushie is that I didn't know any of this, right? Like, I got the plush and I looked at it and there was something about it that I just didn't like. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, I don't know why this plush just doesn't look as good as I thought it would look. And I didn't even know, it's like, oh, these threads are missing and this is doing this and this is, it was like some sort of instinctive thing. I'm just like, this doesn't seem like as good as what I paid for it. I just feel like I got ripped off a little bit. And yeah, these are the details that I never even thought to look for.
Now, admittedly, anybody's first plush, if they're a brand new maker, there might be, you're gonna take a little bit of a risk and it might be acceptable if the price is right. However, you shouldn't be paying an established plush maker for quality like this. And if I remember correctly, this was not this artist's first rodeo. They had made quite a few, I think.
Yeah, they were relatively well known in the community. They were called Butts and stuff. I don't know if any of you have been around long enough to have heard of them.
Let's move on from this topic. I think we've beat the dead horse. Standing and laying. So right now, the laying pattern is very popular. Back in the day, the standing pattern was the most popular. So what's the differences? If you've ever done a commission, you may have kind of considered this, and if you haven't, maybe it's on your mind. Now, granted, there's not a lot of people who still make standing these days, as I mentioned right here. They're pretty rare. However, my personal opinion is that I love standing. These are my preferred ponies. I started making them from the beginning, and I find that they are the most versatile. But I think that the laying also have their place. I'm sure there's going to be others who vehemently disagree with me, and I know that.
I wanted to add this. I just wanted to say I feel like cutie ponies, plushies just kind of bias me towards laying because they're so good, and they're mostly laying.
These days they are mostly laying once you start making them.
I just want to ask you, how much do you like that one? And if you guys think it's cool to have big standing plushies, then I might consider it.
So as I can kind of, funny enough, I actually have QT Pony. I left it in the van. I completely forgot her. I have his very, very first laying pony in the car as well, which was a sleeping derby. And he made that, and I was like, I want her. She's cute. And she plays perfectly over the sewing machine. The things that I like about the standing ponies is, for myself, I sleep with them now, face to face. I don't feel I can do that with the laying ponies. You kind of have to, you cuddle laying ponies more like a docky. And if you're used to sleeping with a docky, you probably would want a laying pony. I, however, have kind of grown to just the way I like to cuddle is face to face. There's a picture in the next slide that kind of illustrates that. I find that they're greatly poseable. Granted, it is going to be at the expense of the stuffing shifting out of the joints. They will be kind of floppy. They will not actually stand anymore unless it's a display plush. In which case, I mean, then half of this is not even relevant if it's a display plush.
Which is easier to make.
As I say in the slides here, good luck finding a maker though. Very few will do it. You were considering a standing, yes?
I have prototypes. I was gonna make a standing Applejack for
someone, but they ended up canceling on me, so I just have two prototypes in both my sizes of the 28 inch and the 59 inch, but for a standing pattern. I haven't really pursued it though.
Continuing on, the laying are great for, like I said, if you've got, if you're good for sleeping in a docky, but they might not be as good at traveling. I find that I can push standing ponies kind of better into travel. The posing, it depends on how much, like you have to bend them more to pose them. You can pose them though, and you can certainly pose them for other things as well. But they're not as easy to do, and
they don't sit down in chairs very easily.
yeah, well, that's the thing. We had a bunch of posts on the board earlier with ponies sitting at the dinner, and that was our Twilights here. Granted, we did have the big flutters up there in the middle. However, to do her like at the table, to have her slaying at the table, we had to put the chair back around, and it's less
realistic.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. The other thing is, honestly, not very good for Lude, in my opinion. That you can do it, but the standing offers almost every pose you can imagine. The Lude, I feel, or a laying, I feel like you're straight up like limited. But that's my opinion. I'm sure there's others who are more adventurous who have kind of figured things out. I mean, I will say, for full disclosure, I do have both. They're in the car. I mean, I have the dirt band there. She's not Lude. And no, that's not a yet. She's just not Lude, and she will not be.
Skill issue.
Shut up. Peanut gallery over here. I do, however, have the laying fluffy Twilight that I made a few years back, and she is Lude, and just not my cup of tea. So here's some examples just to show like posability and whatnot. Now, granted, I do see here that this is an ERC plush as well. Her hind legs are kind of bent over like this, but I do know the owner also kind of does not care much about what he does with this horse. She is literally standing over an engine right now, so. That is the fluffy Twi that I mentioned on top of. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you started making plushies, laying were the predominant for life size, correct?
Yeah.
My guess, without being 100% sure, is that probably due to the proliferation of ERC in the laying ones and other people wanting the laying ones, that's my personal opinion, is that when he started with making a lot of these, and then you had Agatrix started making a lot of them as well, all laying. Other makers started following, and I think it's more of a monkey see, monkey do, but I don't know for sure. Yes?
That's because the pictures look better.
Exactly.
I will agree. The pictures do look better. I mean, the standing horses don't stand. I mean, they stand for maybe a day or two, and then they kind of start. They don't look as good in pictures, like if you try to stand them. And of course, when somebody hears standing, they want to see a standing pony versus a laying. The laying pictures just look better. I'll give it that. So that's my guess. It just, the proliferation of it just kind of caused it to keep going. So next up, let's talk about the one topic I've never seen in another plush panel. Let's go Lude. So what's your options? You want to make love to your wife. Maybe you want to bring her to cons without having everybody go like, opening her up and like, oh my God. Well, maybe you don't care.
It's a good wallet holder.
Yeah.
You know, when the vendor hall, you know,
I thought about pulling my wallet. I thought about putting a wallet. I actually, when I got my my little Trixie loaf, I'm like, where the heck do I put? Oh, I know exactly where I could put this. Zip. It kept her safe, so hey. What are your options though? You've got mostly invisible zipper or an open pocket. Invisible zippers, if done correctly, wallet out at BronyCon and then never did because they kind of were like, oh wait, this is kind of family friendly con, and even though we do meme about this stuff and the Lyra plushie and everything, probably wasn't the best place to do it. I mean, a con like here though, where everything is 18 plus, I have no problem doing that, just for the shits and giggles. One other option, and I did not bring her with me, but you could even have a mouth on your plush, though they typically look kind of funny.
Yeah, don't expect.
Yeah, they're gonna look weird. How about some loot options that aren't, you know, the usable bits? Fluffy. Let's go on to fabrics. What are your options? Almost every plushie up here, almost all of them, are gonna be made with Shannon Cuddle 3. Do not request anything else. That is the gold standard. It has a 3mm pile. It's very durable, long term. This one was made with Big Z Minky, which was just some kind of knockoff one that I did for prototyping, and very different results compared to this one as far as the Minky goes. Overall easier, did not hold up as well. It's also actually, it's very common, and it's not the most expensive for fabric, but it also isn't the cheapest. It has lots of colors though, so you probably will find it in a pony that you want. There is the other option, which is Fluffy, which is the Shannon Lux Cuddle. It has a 15mm pile, very, very soft, window. It does kinda, my personal opinion, having owned both, is I will still go with Minky for longevity, but I can't deny that the Fluffy Minky is really nice when it's new.
Yeah, but you don't want to be having to be the plush maker making one of these.
Oh yeah, no, Minky thelioma. You will need a mask to work with this stuff. As soon as you cut it, your workspace, it's bad enough with regular Minky, the workspace with Fluffy stuff, you will get it in your lungs. You will be coughing up and hacking a lot. It's not fun. It is also kind of a dust magnet, to be completely honest. It will get, if it sits, it's definitely gonna get a lot of dust on it. You will want to wash or give your plush the suck, as we like to call it, quite often with that. There is a rather limited color selection unless custom dyed. There are some people who have gone out and custom dyed their plush, like the Minky, and then gone off and given it to their preferred plush maker. I know Jolts has now made 3 of those. And as I said at the very bottom, plush makers hate working with it, myself included. Although I own the last 10 yards of that stuff for Twilights. So I don't know what to say about that. Then you've got faux fur, which is usually for your mane and tail as a secondary option. I like both, but I'm going to prefer the Minky for a daily driver plush personally. But I know that there's a lot of people out there who are going to say, hell no.
Yeah, there's a lot of personal opinions on
Yes, this is
stuff.
very personal opinion stuff.
For me, I love this long Lux Minky, and I love the faux fur. It's good stuff.
That's why I'm trying to, get that out there, that it's a personal opinion. Oh, we got time. Oh, good show. It's taking a lot longer than that. The faux fur is a great option though for mane and tails. It does get messy, which for some people could be a plus because it's brushy. Not very good with heat though. The acrylic fabric does not like that. So now that I've figured out that we only have 15 minutes, I'm gonna roll through here a little quicker. Mane and tail styles. One of the big things that you see sometimes is going to be a stuffed plush tail versus a non-stuffed tail. And then there's also kind of like a medium in between, a semi-stuffed.
Is that semi-stuff or is it non-stuff?
Twilight
This is a-
here is an example of a stuffed tail.
This one's not very stuffed, it's all like,
Yeah.
I got some stuff.
The non-stuffed tails are, I think they're a little bit better for sleeping with because they kind of just flow and you don't have to worry about positioning them in bed or anything.
they're kind of like a big blanket.
Yes, they're more
Kind
like
of
a
long blanket thing.
They also are going to, yeah, blanket is pretty accurate. The stuffed ones, they can be used as like a little leg pillow, so that is a plus. This one, definitely, she can be pretty comfy that way. However, I find that if trying to sleep with her, it kind of can get in the way under the covers. So there's pros and cons to each. Now, you've also got the wet manes for horses versus your standard stow style. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Usually you're gonna find the wet manes on a rarity, especially since a lot of plush makers absolutely hate to make the rarity mane because it's so difficult. Personally, I'd probably be making wet manes only for rarity.
Another reason why she's the worst one.
Uh-oh. Get spicy over here. How about traveling? This one is a little bit of a work in progress for me right now because I'm kind of in a transition period between finding what works. The Jijo, which I used to use for my mares when traveling, Twilight has literally gone with me everywhere I've ever traveled in the last 8 years. And that's probably about 20 times now. And I would throw a Jijo tracker, which is a 3G wireless, Bluetooth, and not GPS
Goodness.
tracker. And
The Giga, yeah, it uses the cell towers.
3G. Unfortunately, 3G, as I learned, has been completely discontinued. They completely got rid of that earlier this year. So,
I think end of last year, right?
yeah, December last year. So now the only options really are going to be the AirTags if you are an Apple person or have an Apple device. They are, from what I've heard, the current best. The Tile, which is all pretty good from what I've heard, but it's compared to the AirTags, not as good. Chipolo, if it ever actually releases, we're waiting on Google, which is waiting on Apple for stuff. And Jijo does have another version out, the 4G version, but I've heard it kind of sucks. So I will say though, I tried the Jijo just for shits and giggles. I put my Jijo in Twilight and traveled with her, and it did update and said she was literally over by my building. So it does seem to still somewhat be working. I'm not exactly sure how, but it is working. It could be the oops. This is for the life size. You may be able to also buy a seat for your plush. I don't exactly know how to do that. I've not done it myself. I'm considering it though in the future possibly.
Carry like you carry a dog.
What?
Like some people carry their pets.
It'd be more like carrying sports equipment or like an instrument you can buy a seat. Travel sizes will be considered, travel sizes should be considered a personal item, but depending on the mood of the gate agent or the airline you're with, they may or may not have an issue with that. How about what to do when conditioning? Definitely read the artist TOS. Will this work for you? Will they give you your money back should you back out? That's a big thing. Typically though, you're going to find that OCs are always going to be up front. Just saying that. Unless maybe it's like an OC like Florb or a non-Philly, you might be able to get away with that as like a general commission and not have it considered as an OC. But most plush artists are going to just straight up charge you up front. So look at their terms of service. They will tell you how they will give you your money back and what you will get. So make sure that's acceptable to you. Ask for any unaltered examples if you have reason to suspect that there might be alterations to the work. ERC, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like image editing. Image editing.
Yes,
Yeah.
image editing. Whether it was the very crudely drawn on through MS Paint mouth and nostrils, or things like just, well, crude MS Paint edits of seams and other blemishes that, like, occasionally, it's perfectly acceptable to find sometimes that, you know, maybe you're like brushing out the minky and you take the picture and you're like, oh crap, this is kind of a little bit distracting, but it's not actually a blemish. Okay, that's fine. If you sew it across the mane here and you just have a absolutely ugly scar of, like, from seam ripping the thread out, what the heck? That's just straight up deceit. So ask for unaltered and unedited works on any plushies that you're really serious about and you have reason to suspect that this maker is either completely unknown or you're kind of looking and you're like, maybe there's something up here. Talk to other owners and makers. Merch, Tempo, or Create, whatever it is now. Plush, recipes, maybe Discord. I know it's kind of a cursed word around here. Be firm but courteous in your communications. Ask smart questions. However, be mindful that you may end up offending a maker if you talk to them the wrong way. I've had a friend who meant well with their questions, but unfortunately it did not end up well for them. I personally think, though, that they dodged a bullet by doing that. The plush maker, however, did not like their questions about the eye embroidery gaps they were seeing and decided they'd be happier just doing it on their own. So they dodged a bullet, but if it's actually like not a real issue, but maybe you just want a little bit of a reassurance, just be smart in how you ask your questions. Come on.
Make them sure you know you.
Request updates. I have something to say about that in the next slide. Make sure you request updates. Keep your communications in one channel. Avoid being all over the place. Like if you've got their Discord, you've got their DA, you've got all this other stuff, and maybe you're friendly, but try to keep it in one place. It's for yourself to have a record, and for your plush maker to also kind of keep track, because not everybody is really great about keeping all the commission details, especially if they drag on. What not to do. Do not let your artist ghost you for months or years at a time. By that point, if your artist has been ghosting you for probably, or hasn't talked to you in 3 months, and you've been asking for updates, you probably should be considering pulling the PayPal protection. I'm gonna be straight up here. Like, if they're giving you updates and they're at least telling you where they're going, okay. And you can kind of see progress, or you do something about it. That's fine. But I personally find that ghosting is an unacceptable way of dealing with commissioners, because you could have some artists who are ghosting because you never know these days. You could have artists that ghost you because they're like, oh, well, I'm really falling far behind. It's not acceptable when it happens. Or you have people like the recent drama with Agatrix, where she just fucked off with about, what are we at, $70,000 or $60,000 worth of commissions? 40? Okay. It was some very high number. You can buy a car with that kind of money. She just has fucked off and vanished. And nobody knows. Nobody knows where she is.
20 of my cars for that.
In Poland, you can buy a lot of it.
Yeah, with Poland, you could buy a hell of a lot with that money. And then the person who was going to do the expose on her just sort of vanished, so I don't know about that. Maybe she got plush. She probably got plush mafia or
Polish
something.
mafia.
Yeah. This is my personal opinion, but every artist, like I said, is going to be very different. Do not pay everything up front. Do not 100% unless this is a very trusted artist, and even then, be wary.
I've paid 100% up front a couple times.
But
I don't have that money anymore.
Wow. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
I don't have a plush either.
Also, it will not help your position in the line. It never does. There are a lot of makers, a lot of people have this idea that paying everything up front means that their plush maker is just going to suddenly be motivated to finish their commission. No,
It's the
that's
opposite.
not how that works.
It's the opposite.
This is where I start getting into, I'm sorry if I'm going to offend any plush makers here. But yes, no, a lot of this is not how that works. Money coming in is how it keeps the commissions flowing for a lot of people. I mean, it's just how nature works. That's my opinion. There is one exception. Yes, Jerry.
Don't give them creative freedom. In other words, don't be like, take your time. Because they will
Take your
actually do
time,
that.
yes. Creative freedom, some artists are actually really good with creative freedom.
We know someone I've been waiting for 3 years.
Yes, this is true. You have been waiting 3 years on that plush.
Creative freedom and infinite time is the same thing.
I can't say I'm much better on one commission. However, the person has accepted that, and I'm in communication with them about it. Okay, sounds good. There's one exception, and that is personal OCs. That one is my one exception, personal OCs, and that's because that is extremely high risk to the artist of you bouncing. The commissioner bouncing. I mean, heck, I had that actually happen on the Rainbow Dash here, but I liked her enough I decided to keep her. And the commissioner was about $100 away from finishing off paying her and suddenly realized, oh shit, it's either the plush or I am homeless. So, if it,
I
yes.
guess I'm just wondering, so like you would say pay up front like for a custom plush.
If it's a custom, yeah. Or if it's a commission.
As long as there's no waiting
OC,
for it,
OC.
right?
What?
As long as there's no waiting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If it's a already made plush, go ahead, pay for it.
No,
That-
the thing is, the person, if the artist has a waiting list, there's no point on paying up front if they're not gonna start working. Plus,
Exactly. That is my
So
opinion.
only paying when they start working.
Yes, and typically, the way that I did it, and I know a lot of artists will do this, is they will put it into segments. So you might pay $300 when you buy the fabric. They will pay $300 when maybe you get the body done, $300 with the mane, and then $300 before shipping. So like if it's a $1,200 plush, maybe you do it that way. That's acceptable to me. Like I said, the one exception is for OCs, and if the plush is already actually completed, go ahead. I mean, that's fine, unless it's like somebody with a very questionable reputation of even delivering. There's been a few of those. Dawning Love, for example, straight up scamming people for plushies that was shown as finished. So it's not always 100% foolproof. Do not let desperation rule your decisions to stay with a plush maker who's been causing you issues. Absolutely, please do not do this. If you have PayPal protection, it's 6 months. Please don't let that just expire and without any sort of like, if you feel like you've just been taken through the ringer and you're at that mark, do not let it expire. Chances are you're going to be strung along for possibly forever. Another one, don't bother with emergency commissions. If you see that run, just don't even bother. That is 100% of the time a bad decision. I've never heard of emergency commissions turning out right. Like, you either are going to get a extremely rushed plush or you will get nothing, and most of the time you get nothing. As I said here, generally don't pay for a commission until the artist is ready to start, or they're starting ordering fabrics for it. Like, if they've got a commission list a mile long, I wouldn't do it. Maybe if they got like 1 or 2, that might be fine to start paying up front. But you are not their loan agency. Do not expect to be treated as such. How about this? Maybe you want to make your own, if I've kind of started dissuading anybody. This is how I got started. I really wanted to make a Twilight. I really just wanted one for myself because all the makers were taken, which has kind of always been the thing, even from 8 years ago. They've always been taken. I think this is the ultimate in expressing love for your waifu. or maybe it's just the ultimate autism. There are patterns available out there. Like I said, I started on 4chan from seeing this one being made, and the patterns were posted on her thanks to QT, and it was because of him I made her. Started off small, basic, add a few more details, and then finally finished my wife. You can, if you're keeping at it, you could probably make your first life size in about 2 to 3 months with absolutely zero experience. I had literally never touched a sewing machine before. Actually, I repaired a sewing machine, that was it, before I started plush making. I had never even used a needle and thread. It'll cost you maybe about $300 of materials. Granted, this was about the time that I started. I had to look that back up because it's been so long. But I think $300 of materials will cover it. The polyfill is a little bit surprisingly expensive, but it's kind of necessary. You don't 100% need a machine. I didn't bring her in the room here. She's in the van, but Jolts had made and actually this one here is 100% hand stitched. There is no machine stitching on her. So it's not 100% necessary. You can make yourself a big mare, even if you have no money, no space, as long as you got time. If you do get a machine though, get one with a triple stretch stitch. I forgot to get a picture, I think, of what the icon looks like, but it'll be like 3 lines. For life sizes, that is what you want. It's not as necessary for smaller plushies. Do you have something?
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way too. The machine that I made Twilight on was from the 1960s. It did not have a triple stretch stitch, and her back seam kept breaking all the time. So here's just some photos of the timeline. Actually, the very first thing I sewed was a little football you see here, and then followed by just a mare body. Then Proto-Twi or Twilight Sparkle, as you can kind of see, she's definitely seen better days, but so is my big player. Just kind of going through and laying the pieces out. That's a pool table for reference, the size of that. And this was for her. She's about 21 inches. And then started making the big Twi. I really wish I had more time to cover this subject, because this is actually, I didn't realize how much time I was going through. This is really where my favorite topic. As you can kind of see, the progression of going from eyes and learning. I learned to do applique on her eyes. These were done manually with the machine. It was not in a digital embroidery unit to do them. And I learned a lot between just doing prototype Twi here and full-size Twi's eyes. A lot about like what's good quality cotton, what's like how to do the stitching better, what the thicknesses I needed. I don't know if I took a picture of it or if I put the picture in here. I don't think I did. I made like a little card that showed all the thicknesses of the different stitches, so that I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and then I marked them on a picture of the eye and kind of had like, I want the number 5 here, I need a number 3 here, and I need a number 4 there. So I had a guideline. Nowadays I would do that through Embird, which is the embroidery studio that I use. But back then it was all handmade, or yeah, hand done. As you can just kind of see the progression. Your question? Oh, okay. Mane and tail were mostly just printed out, kind of guessed on the size and shape, and did what looked right. Oh yes, I do have a stitch card here. And this was, for example, this was QT Pony's starting from his very first plush, his prototypes, all the way to making, oh, come on. I hate that this thing is, as soon as you even slightly touch it, it just wants to go to the next slide. All the way to this girl, including like the main pattern you see here, I did use some of the main pattern for this Twilight, but I also kind of worked on my own. Paper towels, very good for patterning out mains because it flows. Just a little pro tip there. How do you clean them? This is up.
Mayo.
For the big ones at least. Oh, and Folex, your number one friend right here.
Oh yeah, the menu.
Every plush maker should own Folex regardless of the size. In my opinion, at least. You should also, granted it took me a long time to get one of these, but a boar bristle brush or a tangle teaser, or both. Or the cat hair brushes with the metal things for faux fur, but do not use them in a pulling direction, use them in a pushing direction. I've seen good results with that, at least on a fursuit. So, I know furry, but it works, and that's probably what I would do from now on for getting faux fur kind of detangled. Let's see, what are we doing on time? We're a little over. Things you want to know for repairs. Ladder stitch, number one stitch to know. If you get anything out of this, learn to do a ladder stitch. This will close any holes you have in the seams, and you will not have to go send your plush out to somebody because you don't know how to sew. That is your friend. It will close up just about anything. You can attach pieces together with it. It's very universal in my opinion. The other thing, know to do a back stitch. It is especially useful when combining with the ladder stitch. So if for some reason the thread on your, let's see picture, people will take pictures of this. So if the thread on like your neck seam breaks, your neck isn't going to completely unravel if you have a back stitch. So very important. Learn how to to thread a needle. There's a quick way to do it. Very nice, like saves a lot of hassle and headache. You just kind of wrap the needle around it. I don't know what it's called, but it's very helpful, especially if you do a lot of them. Learn how to tie off and end a stitch. I think that's pretty important here. Don't use upholstery or heavy duty threads unless you, especially on something that's very high stress, the minky will break before the thread does. It is a lot harder to repair a minky than to repair a seam that split because your thread broke. Just getting that out there. Very important. We're done. Is there any questions now?
You are talking about like how people are like commissioned like to the artist, but how does it look like from the artist's perspective to get a commission?
I mean, myself, I unfortunately was not plush making for terribly long before I got a full-time job, so I haven't had to deal with all of the misfortunes. This may be a better question for Chip. What is it like to receive a commission from the artist perspective? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually just a DM.
I mean, as long as somebody is not being like, so I like, for myself, it's gonna vary by artist, I would say. For myself, I liked when people were detailed and they knew what they wanted, but it also was like kind of an easier thing. So like, I want a rainbow dash, I want her life size, I want her with a pocket, I want her, you know, with bedroom eyes. And I kind of am like, okay, I kind of know what I think I want to do with that. Let me start looking up some pictures of bedroom eyes, and let me get back to you about that and bounce off back and forth with what you want to see. That's a good commission. If I got somebody who's like, I need every little, where's slide number 2 here? With the sweating system and all that other crap, I would probably no thank you, I'm good. I'm good fan. This one right here. Yeah, some kind of internal fluid regulation system so she can sweat and other things. Yeah, I'd be running for the hills if I saw that.
Is that pony giving birth?
It's going to all vary. Some artists though, they want the littlest of, they just want like, I want a rainbow dash, and I want you to, it's your pick of what to do with it. Some of them like that. I personally, I like the commissioner to kind of know what they wanted. I don't like to have to guess, and I feel like it just ends up, I want the commissioner at the end of the day to like the plush that they have. I don't want it to end up in a corner, if I can avoid that. Yes.
I was gonna ask two things. Do you ever have to restuff them to make them stand up again? And then what machines are you guys using?
What?
Like sewing machines? I just
Oh,
can't commit to anything, and then I'm worried I'm gonna pick the wrong thing, and then
Well, I use a very expensive machine. I'll answer your second question.
Right.
I use a very expensive machine, a Baby Lock Elissimo. That one was about $6,000 used, but it also is because it's got an embroidery bed function on it, computerized digital embroidery. So that's what makes it very expensive. You can have options of having like a separate machine. Like if I were to have my ultimate pick, I get a FAF for just sewing, and because it's got a what's called IDT, it moves the minky a lot easier. And then I would get a separate machine just for embroidery, probably like a semi-commercial one. But for what I do, the machine I have is more than adequate. What do you use actually? Is it,
I just use a cheap Brother, I think it was like a 600S.
SC600?
Yes, SC600
Was
to
that
start off. Now I just use it for sewing, but I did upgrade to a dedicated embroidery machine after I started actually seriously pursuing it. But the Brother still works. I might upgrade later on, but it's not really a huge issue.
I know that QT was using a very cheap Brother machine for a very long time, up until he got his, I think he's got a, not the Elizimo, or Elagio,
What price range would
ESG.
be very cheap? What price range would go very cheap?
like $100
Really?
or less. Yeah, I think his was like $60 from Walmart. Let me finish off the other second question. I don't stuff them to make them stand again. However, sometimes they do need restuffing because it's just cluster fill. I meant to cover stuffing because there's differences between cluster fill, polyfill supreme. They all work differently. I find you have to restuff cluster fill more often. Artists love it because it's easy to work with. As an end user, I'm not really into it. I like polyfill supreme better, or regular polyfill. But I don't restuff them to stand, just to answer your question. Yes?
Well, talking about materials used in making them, when it comes to embroidering on 3mm minky, what do you recommend for bottom stabilizer and top stabilizer?
I've used Floriani, and I've used Madeira stuff as well. I only use Madeira thread as far as the thread goes for this top stabilizer. I like to personally use it's kind of a slightly thicker stuff, and I'll usually put like 2 or 3 sheets. It's like a heavy stabilizer on the bottom. Depending on how many stitches, it's like 1 sheet per about 10,000 stitches. And you want to use a water-soluble stabilizer on the top so that the threads don't peek through. Otherwise, you will end up with like minky fuzz going through your embroidery, and you definitely don't want that. The other one I used a much thinner one. I typically would put a thin layer of stabilizer on the bottom, and then the thick more card-like stuff underneath it. But you kind of want it to be still flexible. But at the same time, if the embroidery is like shifting around, it's not going to.
I just use what works in my machine. It's a lot of just trial and error.
Is there anything else, or are we good to wrap up? There's the pony photo shoot, or the plushie photo shoot over in the Mare Fair right across. If not, all right. Thank you for coming. Make sure to go to the photo shoot.
Thanks for watching Phauxe and Krystal as we venture to Mare Fair. 2023 first convention in Florida. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more adventures with Phauxe and Krystal. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, you have the ability to be awesome. Bye, guys!